Thank you for coming down to my kibbutz, which is still a war zone, where we are refugees in our own land. We cannot live here. It's a closed military zone. I am with 70% of my community still living in Beersheba for now as an interim solution until we can finally come back home.
Adele Raemer shared with CBN News the challenges of still being separated from friends and neighbors. That's one reason she remains focused on advocating that her community be rebuilt so residents can safely return.
When you live on kibbutz, you don't lock your door. You go outside to the lawn, you see neighbors, you go to the little convenience store. We're 430 people in this community, and I know everybody. Kibbutz is so much more than just the houses and the dining room and the fields. Kibbutz is community.
Adele took us back to the day Hamas changed her beloved home while enjoying a visit from her son.
This is where I was on October 7th. My son was sitting by the door holding down the handle, and I was sitting on the bed, and many of these rooms were infiltrated by terrorists because it's easy to open up. The doors can only lock as it is. It can only lock if you're pulling down on the handle and if you're strong enough to keep it closed.
She then took us to another place, a key site for Raemer that day.
We're going to go into my son-in-law's house. This is where I almost lost my 3 grandchildren on October 7th.
Wow.
The terrorists came into the house. My son-in-law was one of the first responders, so he had a gun, and he was with the children in the safe room, and he heard the terrorists enter the house.
At that point, they could only wait inside the safe room.
My 3 grandchildren were on that bed, and he told them, hide under the blanket. You're going to hear a loud noise. Don't come out from under the blanket no matter what happens. He raised his gun and waited until he saw the handle of the safe door moving, and he kicked open the door to the safe room and shot the terrorist who was right there, right in front of the door.
Raemer says a number of miracles happened on her kibbutz. One example, no children were kidnapped from Nirim.
And then I realized that was supposed to be my 3 grandchildren. If he had not been here with his gun, they would have been murdered or kidnapped.
3 IDF soldiers entered the kibbutz early on and bravely fought terrorists until they lost their lives.
Their bodies are in Gaza. And
Wow.
on the wall here it says, Kan nilchamu ba'oz giborei Yisrael. This is where heroes of Israel fought bravely. That was another one of the little miracles that happened that day.
Standing by the fence the terrorists broke through, Raemer says Nirim suffered in more ways than one.
There are so many people here in this region that were peace activists, that worked for peace. And we built so many bridges that just collapsed that day. And these are the people that those animals, those monsters, thought that they should come on over and slaughter.
Now Adele focuses on moving forward. Currently, the kibbutz is renovating its dining room with bomb shelters on both floors, moving the convenience store to a more secure area, and repairing other infrastructure. Adele hopes to make improvements to her own house before she returns, especially upgrading the bomb shelter to make it safe from terrorists and gunfire, not just from rockets. She also plans changes including windows, doors, and a bigger porch.
That will be my victory. That will be how I will reclaim my house, my life. I had so much stolen from me, and there's no way I'm going to let that stand. So I will be back here, building bigger and better, as we're going to be doing with the community, so that young families are going to be willing to come back, and new families, hopefully with young children, will want to join us.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Kibbutz Nirim, Israel.